Guys, and welcome back to the channel. Previously, we've discussed George Lucas's original plan for the Star Wars sequel trilogy, including the villains for the sequel trilogy, as well as the fact that it was going to be confirmed that Palpatine was in fact Anakin's father, and that Palpatine was the one that created Anakin. To summarize, Darth Maul was going to be the lead of an underworld organization, and would have been the main villain of the sequel trilogy, along with his brand new apprentice, Darth Talon from Legends continuity fame. Together, they would have made a sort of underground thug-like Sith Order, stuff that was already being set up in Star Wars The Clone Wars, where Maul would rule from behind the scenes and Darth Talon would be featured as the Darth Vader-like character of the sequel trilogy. However, we have more information, this time about our heroes of the sequel trilogy, as well as a revelation that Luke nor Anakin was going to be the real chosen one in the end, and that rather there was going to be a new chosen one that of course we've seen before, but that would rise to bring order to the galaxy. The movies are about how Leia, who else is going to be their leader, is trying to rebuild the Republic. They still have the apparatus of the Republic, but they have to get under control from the gangsters, and that is the main story of the sequel trilogy. It starts out a few years after Return of the Jedi, and we establish pretty quickly that there's this underworld, and there's these offshoot stormtroopers who have started their own planets, and that Luke is trying to restart the Jedi. He puts the word out, so over 100,000 Jedi, maybe 50 or 100 of them are left. He's trying to start completely from scratch, and the Jedi have to grow from scratch, so Luke has to find 2 or 3-year-olds and train them. It'll be like 20 years before a new generation of Jedi actually begins. By the end of the trilogy, Luke would be successful, and would have actually rebuilt the Jedi, and we would have a renewal of the New Republic, with Leia, Senator Organa, becoming the Supreme Chancellor in charge of everything. So in the end, she ended up being the real chosen one, the one that would really destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force, not by becoming a Jedi herself, but by going into politics, and by uniting the galaxy in this way, other than being a warrior like Luke or Anakin. There it is, guys. In the sequel trilogy, Leia Organa, or of course Leia Skywalker, was going to be revealed as the real chosen one behind the Star Wars universe, and the lesson at the end was going to be that Leia, by uniting the galaxy, instead of simply fighting like a Luke or an Anakin, that this would have been the answer, and that she was able to maintain balance in the Force not by becoming a Force wielder herself, or rather a Jedi or a Sith. I actually think that this decision by George Lucas would have been met with quite a bit of controversy, especially since the sequel trilogy clearly changed the answer on who the chosen one really is. As George Lucas has said before, that Anakin is the chosen one, and that by Anakin destroying the Emperor and in the process killing himself and Darth Vader brought balance to the Force. By having Maul and Talon return as a revived Sith, this essentially undoes this, just as it was undone in the sequel trilogy as well, shortchanging Anakin's sacrifice. Still though, it is an interesting concept that Leia is the real chosen one, and that it's by becoming more connected to the people around her that she's able to finally maintain peace. I also do like the idea of Leia being the main character, as this was always George Lucas's plan. As Luke very prominently features as the main character in the original trilogy, it would make sense that we would transfer over to Leia, and with Luke's sacrifice really bringing the galaxy together, as we learned in the same interview that George Lucas had planned to have Luke die in episode 8, even though prior it was explained that he would die in episode 9 according to Mark Hamill. It's clear that George Lucas has had a ton of different ideas that revolve around the Star Wars sequel trilogy. We've even heard before that Lucas had ideas that had nothing to do with Luke or Leia, and would have explored a completely different aspect of Star Wars entirely, potentially even a brand new galaxy, and would have gone more in depth into the midichlorians and the wills of the Force that we hear about a lot in the original Star Wars. Again though, this version of course would have focused far more on our original trilogy characters. But now I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this. How would you feel about Leia being revealed to be the real chosen one and not Anakin or Luke? Also, do you like the idea of Leia actually uniting the galaxy in order to destroy this dangerous underworld pioneered by Maul and Talon? And do you like the overall message and story of the sequel trilogy? I would love to hear what you have to think in the comments down below.